it's quite difficult to sometimes say what is the difference between the two, because I think it depends on the environment that you're in terms of the organization. But to me, the difference probably is, I see a finance manager possibly reporting into a financial controller. I see a finance manager being responsible for a function within the finance department, and I probably see the financial controller as being responsible for a collection of departments, and probably reporting into an FD.
I think sometimes it depends on the size of the company, but typically your finance manager will be more responsible for your day-to-day financial operations, so transactions, ledgers, management accounts. A financial controller has a bit more of a broader view, so we'll look after the finance manager, but also we'll do the statutory reporting, look after audit, and your financial control type work.
Actually, there's not a lot of difference between a manager and a controller, because a controller is doing a management job as well. So, but obviously, generally, financial controllers have a broader remit, so they may be looking after finance managers. So, finance controller is a little bit above finance manager, but it's the same sort of things that you'd want from a manager and a controller.
For me, a very simple answer is the financial controller is a more senior role and seen to be a more senior role, but I guess it's business dependent. In smaller business, a finance manager can have a similar role than a financial controller. In a larger business, you tend to be seniority in FC versus a finance manager.
I think the main differences between an FC and an FD, it's better to talk about what I think those roles would do. So an FC, they're generally sitting at the FD's right hand. They're driving the finance department. They're taking responsibility for the accuracy and relevance of the financial data and reporting that's coming out of that business function. Other typical responsibilities that the FC takes, it's liaising with the auditors, assisting the FD with external advisors, whether that's legal, accounting or tax or otherwise. Sits below that FC, they're part of that finance team, and they're possibly looking after a specific role or function of the financial management of that business. In a small business, the two roles can blur together.
Finance manager is usually found within a smaller business, whereas a financial controller usually leads on from a finance manager and goes to a medium and large size business. So usually, typically, a finance manager, very similar to a financial controller, very similar to a finance manager, but it will usually have a broader responsibility, such as the regulatory and statutory reporting, forecasting, budgeting, typically managing a larger team.
The difference between the finance manager and the financial controller, there's two main aspects. The finance manager looks inwards, so they're looking at the management of the company's finances, whereas the financial controller is looking more outward.
I think the main difference is in terms of task. A finance manager, I would expect to manage a team of accountants or transactional staff, and a low to sort of medium level of sort of ability and responsibilities. A financial controller, I think, would be in control of the whole function.
Okay, in many organisations, I think these are interchangeable, and they sometimes they are even used as alternate role titles post redundancies. So they're very similar. But if you really pushed me for a set of differences, I'd expect a finance manager to have a broader range of responsibilities and perhaps management capabilities, but possibly at less depth. And I'd expect a finance controller to be technically more adept and possibly a bit more experienced, with a focus on controls and financial specialism.